Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 132. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. How about yourself?
Very good. For those watching, you can see that we have some additional guests this week. So, guests 2 weeks in a row, but we've doubled the count. We've got Shane and Dustin both returning. Shane, how you been?
Good. I'm doing really well. Mostly just taking care of my infant daughter, so keeping her alive.
Nice. And you've been holding in there, Dustin? Things good for you?
Yeah, pretty good. Coming off of the kids being sick for 2 weeks straight, so I'm up about at midnight, 3, 5. You know, my sanity is
That's
slowly
fun.
degrading.
Well, we're glad to have you
out.
both back. Glad you could make it on here. We're gonna be talking about drinks up front, like normal. We'll get into what we've been consuming recently. Just a little bit of news, not too much. A couple things maybe you're interested in, and then this episode primarily is going to be about our 2022 year in review. So last week with Dana on, we talked about comic books and then most specifically webtoons and what we read last year that was our favorites and least favorites. So we're going to broaden that out this week, talk about movies, television, video games, and stuff like that as well, and with a couple of additional guests. So to start things off, drinks, Andrea. We got to be drinking something, right? We got to celebrate something.
Yes. We're just keeping it simple this week. There is one drink holiday for the week. It happens to fall on today, so good timing. Today, January 11th, it is Hot Toddy Day. And there are just like 4 ingredients to a hot toddy: hot water, whiskey, sometimes bourbon, lemon, and honey. I have 3 of 4 of those in a cup. I have hot water, honey, lemon, not whiskey. I have tea in place of the alcohol. So I'm trying the best that I can.
Yeah. I mean, it is, the slogan is sometimes there's whiskey. So
Sometimes
fine.
there's whiskey. I mean, I gave the rest of you the best shot I could to follow that.
Yeah. Shane, I know some hot toddies go down in your household. Oh, there it is. There it is.
It's a little cold now. I had to hold off drinking it before the show.
Yeah.
It's a lukewarm toddy now.
Yeah, it is. It's a lukewarm toddy.
That is one of my issues with it often. Is like if you're not putting in a sealed mug or something, it cools quickly.
Still pretty good though.
Yeah. Dustin, how about you? You got any special beverage tonight?
Just having a little bit of Fat Tire.
Okay.
Nice.
Found a nice sampler pack of some New Belgium. Trying those out.
Nice.
Cool.
God, I used to sling so many of those when I worked as a bartender. Holy cow. I'd never heard of them before I worked as a bartender, and just particularly the clientele attracted to that brand.
Sure. Nice.
Someone told me
you drank them, but yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, I have, but no, just like one of those things that you remember, when you like serve the same thing over and over. Also, like one of those things that I remember when I volunteered at the library. It's like all the same books that you shelve. You know what I mean? Like you just get like a sense of what people are reading because you're like, James Patterson over here.
Yeah. Dustin, you were gonna say something?
Sorry, I'm already derailing us.
I was just gonna say, someone told me once that a Fat Tire is a winter beer, and I don't know what that means. But ever since then, every time it's winter, I'm like, I should drink some Fat Tire.
Sure. Yeah. I've got
a very Pavlovian response of you.
Yes.
I've been going through my Gotham City Cocktails book, so continuing onward with that. I have so many ingredients in my cabinet now to accomplish this book, I still don't have enough. But I do have enough for this one called Suit Up. So, as it's described here, sometimes dinner is just the beginning of the night for all those who need a boost with classic, I don't know what that word is. Classic, I don't know, favorites,
Spell
such
it.
as whiskey.
Yeah.
It's said like digestive, but I'm
Oh
not.
yeah, digestive.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like
Digestive,
a.
classic
I know.
digestive.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it means. I know that when I was in Germany, they served those like after dinner in a lot of restaurants. Like it was a post
Yeah.
dinner
Okay.
drink.
Okay, here Alan shared
see-
it. Digestives are ideal for drinks to finish off a great meal. Okay. All right, there we go. Such as whiskey and Emerald, this Gotham City classic is a lifesaver. It is a clever brew, adding just enough strong coffee to make a balanced cocktail that doesn't reveal its caffeine payload. This perfect pick-me-up is often ordered from a knowing bartender or server with a simple nod of the head following a meal. So it's sugar cube, 2 dashes of bitters, ounce of rye whiskey, ounce of cold coffee, half ounce of Amaro, and a lemon twist for garnish. So
How does it taste?
that's what I've got. I don't know yet. I would definitely thought of Alan when I made it though, because I'm like, oh, coffee with a twist of lemon. No, Alan likes his lemonade coffee. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try it longer. It's not an immediate success. Like it's refreshing. You know, it's not something I would think to build,
Sure.
which I am happy about. This book really does have good recipes. Most of them I have enjoyed, and they're getting me in some cases to think outside the box a little bit, or what would be my go-to. So yeah, been happy about it.
Now the trick is you're gonna be like jacked up at 11:30, just like
I know it's not much coffee. It's only an ounce. It's only an ounce of coffee, but
I don't know. From that
Oh, wow.
book's description, said the caffeine
I know.
payoff was unexpected. So
right.
look out.
I know.
What kind like
I
drip
know it.
coffee, or what did you use?
No, I use like a little pod. It's like it's not espresso strength, like coffee strength, but a smaller amount. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, those are our drinks. So I'm just gonna go in the order you're on my screen here, and talk about our weeks a little bit. What's been going on? What we've watched or whatever. Andrea, have you
Yeah.
consumed anything this last week?
I have. I was pleasantly surprised that Chris and I had enough time for 2 episodes of Wednesday, and that series is getting so good. It's currently
Okay.
not on my favorites that we're going to talk about in just a little bit, but it so could be if and when we finish. Like I'm just loving it. We're having
If
a
you had
great time.
started this a couple weeks ago.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, it could be in the sense of like it came out in 2022.
Yeah, it's
Like, so
2022.
it's how you want to word it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Cool.
technically, for something that came out, it's amazing. It's really good. Like I said, it's really picking up. I see why Jenna Ortega has been nominated for several awards for this show. It's excellent so far. So
Is it 6 episodes long or 8? I don't think it
8.
was 8. Okay. All
8.
right.
Yep.
Nice.
So, yep, got 2 down on that. And then this week was a bit of a movie heavy week for me. Inspired by the Golden Globes, I watched Elvis and I watched Bullet Train. So those were 2
Okay.
big ones. Elvis in particular, very big, just in terms of like length.
Okay.
It was I didn't realize how long it was. I mean, I should have. It's Baz Luhrmann. He's like loves a long
Sure.
movie. But yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I feel very accomplished
Well,
having gotten through
that's
that.
like the going average these days, it feels like.
Right?
I don't know, a
I
movie
was
like
putting
the
together
runtime's
some of
good.
my I was putting together some content. I remembered how much we like dwelled on the Batman being so long. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, right. Like I can do this. It's fine.
Yep.
But yeah, so I got through both of those. And then I also started some reading for the week. I'm reading The Paris Apartment and The Maid. Sorry, I'm getting froggy. Which is going to be made into a movie next year with Florence Pugh. So I was like,
Okay.
going to get ahead of that.
Yeah. Well, have either of you guys watched Elvis Wednesday or Bullet Train?
I did
Bullet
watch
Train.
Bullet Train.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I
All
loved
right.
it.
So, okay.
Yeah, I reviewed a little bit of your guys' list and was like, Bullet Train seems to be popular. So good choice,
I saw
Andrew.
it. Emily loved it. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was like the best movie I've ever seen, but it was fun.
Mhm.
Okay.
I like the Ryan Reynolds. Sorry if I'm spoiling it for the listeners. The Ryan Reynolds cameo,
Yeah.
Right?
which I think
was
was
great.
like a payback for the Brad Pitt cameo in
Yeah.
Deadpool 2.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I almost watched it this week. If Ashley had been more enthused about it, maybe I would have, but I intend to get there sometime.
I
I
would.
really wanted to watch it because my top pick now for next casting of James Bond is in that movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, he
And
crushes it.
Is he
yeah,
British?
I was wondering. Yes, yes. He doesn't play someone British in that movie?
He
Well, he
does.
does,
But
but he
I
plays.
mean,
Okay.
people can be convincing.
It was Kick-Ass.
Sure, yeah. Usually goes the other way around, but yeah,
It was like
right.
the first role I saw. I saw him in, and he had an
Yep.
Right.
American English accent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, then he was in Godzilla, and he was American there as well. So I always thought he was American until I saw an interview. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
Quicksilver.
Do you think
Yeah.
it's easier for an actor, an American actor, to pull off a British accent, or a British actor to pull off an American?
British American.
I've heard this. Wait, which one's British
British
American
to American
is harder?
is easier.
Oh, easier, yeah. Because I remember someone saying that, like, because the British enunciate their words so much more, like, the American tongue isn't used to exercising that much or something like that. So after a long day's shoot, like, you can actually have, like, a sore mouth from talking British.
I also
Yeah.
think it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the English are a little more particular about their varying accents by region. You know, I honestly think that a lot of people can put on an American accent and it can kind of be a little all over the place, and people don't care that much. Oh, it feels kind of neutral, sort of Midwestern. It's fine. You know, it's not
Mm-hmm.
overly, you know, or sometimes they'll do a East Coast Boston thing. It's like, maybe that's a little exaggerated. It's fine. I just feel like we're less specifically like, you know, meaning like caring about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the sheer number of like regional dialects in the UK in such a small space,
hmm
kind of crazy. So,
It's also, I feel like, less noticeable when an American accent drops a little bit.
right. That's
You know,
you're right.
when
Exactly.
somebody drops a British accent, you are like, "What?" Hey, like it's so immediate that you're like, no, that's gone. Stop going in and out. And like when somebody else like drops an American accent, it doesn't like quite revert in the same way, and your brain isn't like you've dropped the American accent. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. And it's like, also, that's why I remember when Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Sherlock, that was sort of one of the big deals is how well he managed to portray that accent. You're putting him in front of, you know, a legendary character. I'm sure plenty of Englishmen were upset about that. To me, it's like casting an American as Bond. You just don't do that. But like he really pulled it off, and I don't think anyone had complaints about the quality of his accent. So,
hmm
what were we talking about? Oh yeah, okay, Bullet Train. Aaron Taylor Johnson being English, yeah, yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think based on what you've seen him in, and then particularly Bullet Train because he looks stylish and sleek in there, and can he be
Mm-hmm.
the next Bond?
I don't know.
He'd have to
That's tough.
he'd have to clean it
A
up a
young
little
Bond?
bit.
Younger
He'd have to
Bond?
clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
'Cause he's a little scruffy in about everything I've seen him in. You know what I mean?
Quicksilver.
Like
He's clean as Quicksilver, and at least one of
but
them.
like
Isn't
his
he?
hair is shaggy. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
weird.
Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
always like some scruffy element about him. So
I've just
Maybe
never
they go
seen him
Scruffy Bond.
suave.
yeah.
Like I've never seen the real kind of like sly. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen the right movie with him in it, but he's always either
Mhm.
kind of like a goofy or angry, exaggerated person, or
Yeah. Whether
Sure.
personality or like physical, like he's always got a little bit of lack of polish. And it works. It's fine. Like he's never needed to for a character, I think. But for
Mhm.
Bond, I think he needs some of that.
Okay.
yeah. But I've been wrong many times on actors.
Mhm.
Another one on my list with Robert Pattinson. The very first time someone told me he was gonna be Batman, I was like,
Hated it.
okay. And then now he's
Yep.
my favorite Batman. So if he pulls it off, then I'll bite my tongue. So
Okay.
I think they should
I'm
give
tempted
Bond.
to dive into that right now, but let's say I'm gonna save that for later in the show here. What was that, Shane?
I said I think they should give Bond to Tom Cruise.
they'd
So
have
he
to
has
have him
Mission
stand on a
Impossible, Tom
box.
Cruise, and he's an American being James Bond. What are you smoking over there?
Yeah.
What are you
Did
trying
you
to do?
see-
Kill John?
Did you see Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah.
No,
still
I didn't
got it.
actually. I didn't.
You didn't? Oh. Tom Cruise has not lost a step, I will say. He's a great actor.
Agreed. But he has Mission
He's a great
Impossible.
actor. Which
Like,
is,
that's his
the
pie.
American equivalent, basically,
Yeah.
in a way.
So we don't give good actors good roles because they have other good roles.
No, you just don't give him
I-
the same
I-
kind of role, and
Yeah.
also don't.
We do though.
Well,
He's really
we do, but
baiting you into a trap here, John. Be careful.
it's better
No,
to
I'm
not,
not.
generally, because otherwise you get you get the typecast. All of a sudden, everyone wants to cast Liam Neeson in a Taken role.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
and
just
then-
I
and
mean
then
I'm
we're
just saying
bare
we
knuckle boxing
do it.
wolves.
How about Liam
We do
Neeson
it.
as the next Bond? Old Bond.
Too old.
That is definitely the opposite of what they're doing right
You don't
now.
think Aaron Taylor
Everybody
Johnson's too young?
who's in contention is young though.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
well,
mean? Like
so-
I've
everybody's
heard suggestions of like Henry Cavill
right. He's older.
or
Yeah.
Like-
Charlie Hunnam.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard that
Hmm.
before. I haven't heard that recent in
Yeah.
the round of casting rumors, but yeah, I've heard that one before. I need to see him be really convincing in something. Like I think he's a good-looking guy. I know he's in a few things I haven't seen him in yet. So yeah, I
What
think
about,
they'll go younger. I think
What
they'll go
about
younger
Yeah.
this time.
what about the actor from, I'm blanking on his name, but he was in Game of Thrones. He played Robb Stark. He
Oh
in
yeah.
Eternal?
He was in contention earlier as well after like that Bodyguard remake or whatever on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Let's just give
He's-
Tom Holland. I mean, he's doing everything anyway. So
Oh my god. That's
nobody put
the worst nightmare.
nobody put I'm blanking on the name of the movie that he was in. The video game
Uncharted,
movie.
yeah, Nathan Drake.
Oh.
Uncharted, yeah.
was that this
Yeah.
year?
That was this
Yep.
year.
Yeah,
Was it?
That was like
I
that was
thought I
like
saw
March or
that-
April.
Okay, yeah.
I
Sounds
think-
right.
Oh,
It-
I mean,
I
I
was
went to
gonna
go
watch
see
it.
with you, John. I thought that was like years ago
Yeah.
already.
I know it feels like a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Was gonna watch it.
Okay.
Emily watched it ahead of me, and
Hmm.
even she said it was okay. So I just stayed away from it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Decent.
All right, Andrea, your week. That sounds good. Got some good things in there.
Mhm.
Shane, how about you? You manage anything fun this week?
No.
No.
I mean, yes. Everything is fun. It's very enjoyable to look after Eowyn. It's 9 months
Mhm.
old tomorrow.
Nice.
And, it's just fun to hang out with her. She's fun. she's the older she gets, the more she does, the more interactive she is. Today um we don't watch shows or anything. We haven't gotten to that stage yet, but today I decided to put on, while we were playing on the floor, I decided to put on Bluey. She really liked that, so that was fun. And that's a great
Nice.
show.
That show is a masterpiece.
It's really good.
Yeah. That's one of those that's really not bad for adults either.
Mm-hmm. We put that on every morning to distract Marlo while I'm making her breakfast. And I love the animation, but then the show itself is just amazing. Except it does make me feel like I need to be a better dad in terms of like
Oh yeah, makes you feel
coming
like
up
a
with
shit
like
dad.
games
Makes you
and
feel like a
crazy
really bad
things
dad.
and like
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy has the patience of a
Teaching
patience of a
lessons
god.
and being
Yeah.
funny.
Any kids show has that like actually shows the parents, because they always are like, activities. I'm so happy to teach you something. Like,
Mhm.
look at like my magic imagination box that we're gonna create a game out of, and you're just like, no, I don't have those things.
It's good to have things to aspire to, right? You know? Oh yeah, I got to do another craft thing. Perfect.
I will say I have stolen some of the imaginary games that they've done on Bluey to play with Marlo.
Nice.
Oh, it's great.
All right. Well, Shane's had a week of Bluey. Anything else?
What else? Oh, we're all just coming out of the COVID tunnel.
Oh,
We made it.
congratulations.
We made it 3.5 years without getting sick, and we all got sick over Christmas. So
Sorry.
that's all right.
I'm glad you're coming out of the tunnel, but sorry it happened.
I think honestly, all things considered, it was actually a positive because Emily got like another week off of work or work from home, basically. So she just got more time to hang out with us. So
Yeah.
That's great.
Nice. Dustin, how about you?
A lot like Shane said, been dealing with sick children, staying up late, and watching Bluey in the mornings, which is great. But other than that, it really just been reading books on screenwriting and trying to write myself, and that's about it.
Yeah. How's your comic book coming?
Good. I think I've been making a lot of progress since I've just been kind of doing it all myself. I have a lot of different pieces, so when I get bored of writing something or outlining something, then I'll do some sketches and just jump back and forth. So that means it'll take me 5 times as long, but at least I won't get bored and drop it. So
Yeah.
that's the farthest I've
No,
come
that's
yet.
important. Cool.
And
Yeah. You
reading
ever
all
get
these
in?
screenwriting books has gotten me to like really enjoy these movies that I've been watching this year, like Bullet Train and all this stuff, and like seeing all the things that come into play with I don't know, everyone has different terminology, I guess, in these books, but like seeing how all that's built and when something works or doesn't work, kind of analyzing it and seeing why it's good or bad is somehow enhanced the movies for me lately.
Sure. Yeah. It's crazy how you see it different. I remember when like even in high school when we were shooting a lot of like our silly projects, and then in college as well, you just get in the mindset of walking around and seeing shots like, oh, I would love to have a shot right here, or like you are
Mhm.
watching a movie and you're like,
Mhm.
ooh, it'd be really cool to do that camera movement or something. You just always just really see it in different kind of light. So
Yeah, it
yeah.
affects your brain, your perspective, and all that stuff. And now I just
Mhm.
love anytime Jen turns on a movie, even if I'm not like interested in it, I'll just be like sitting there watching. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the break into Act Two. That wasn't very good, like or whatever. But I don't know. There's something enjoyable about picking it apart, if
Yeah.
even if you're not like totally enjoying the movie,
Mhm.
which
Alan's
I'll
trying to
get
stir up
into.
trouble in our chat here.
I'll get into the one that really rubbed me the wrong way this year.
Yes.
Oh, there it
And
is.
Thick King Renato is in Twitch chat, so thanks for jumping in. I think
Hey.
you'll enjoy this episode. We're going to be getting into later our favorites of 2022. This week I've actually finished. I've been trying to get a couple things done before the babies arrive, and one of those being at least getting the main storyline done on Horizon Forbidden West. So
Nice.
just this afternoon, I rolled credits on Horizon Forbidden West. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was thinking, oh, I'll finish the story this, and then maybe I was doing the thing I'm not supposed to do. Then thinking maybe I'll move on to finishing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I think I'm just gonna stick with Horizon. Just gonna bop around, do other quests and stuff. Learn their built-in game better and all that. So
You'll have time to like play some games in the very newborn phase when they're just like
maybe I thought I'd
You
just
will.
sleep probably. Like
but you won't. You
know,
like
it's
think
like
you will, but
if
you
I have
won't.
if I have a short
You have
because I'll be
two.
too worried. Is that what you're thinking? Like, I
No,
mean,
'cause,
in
like-
the interim, like any downtime, I feel like it's gonna be me conking out. Unless
Yeah,
I'm
and
just like too
that's
anxious.
It's like even when you're like literally taking care of them and you're like trying to like chill them out and you got like little handheld over here or whatever, just like you'll have some time where you're just like, I got time to kill.
But that's why I wanted to finish the main story of this game. So I didn't have to like have the sound blaring and like go through the emotional moments and all that
Right.
stuff. I could just like walk around the open world and do errands and extra things. So that was my thought. Is like it'd be more casual and then like Fallen Order takes so much, I don't know, timing. I feel like I'll get frustrated with that. But
You could, but
yeah.
it's worth a shot. You'll have some time on your hands.
I did play Fallen Order when Marla was first born. It was a good
Okay.
little accompaniment.
good
She
one.
sat on a little donut next to me, sleeping at 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Take the night shift.
So yeah, maybe that will be me because the new one's coming this spring. I've continued on my like second viewings of things. I watched Dune for the second time this other week and watched the Batman for the second time this other week. And now this week was No Time to Die, so the latest Bond film. And kind of been shifting perspective on some of the Bond stuff because I also watched A View to a Kill, and I liked that a lot more than I remember, like quite a bit more than I remember. And then I watched Thunderball, but didn't finish it because it just was like not holding my attention. So
Wasn't
yeah.
Thunderball a recreation of another Bond movie? Like, didn't they re-release a different Bond movie
That's
as Thunderball?
the later one. So
Yeah.
Interestingly, Sean Connery came back later during Roger Moore's tenure to do an unofficial Bond film, Never Say Never Again. And I watched that one last week again. And that's largely a retelling of the same story from Thunderball. So Sean Connery does the same story essentially twice. And like, unpopular opinion, I suppose, I think A View to a Kill, or sorry, Never Say Never Again is a better version than Thunderball, than the original, the unofficial one, even without the theme song because they didn't have the rights to that and all that stuff.
I've seen them both. So what was the deal there? Why did they, the story?
I don't know how the rights managed to get away. There was like a rights dispute over that book or whatever, and someone else managed to wrangle that away. And they shot this film, and it was like this weird thing. Like they were promoting it, like, they wanted to be able to make Bond movies then, and they were going to do Sean Connery, The Bond is back. And it was pitted against another Roger Moore film. They're coming out very similar time frame. And the Roger Moore film crushed it. People were on the Roger Moore train at that point and knew that was the real one, I guess, or whatever. And
So
Shameful.
the movie Never Say Never Again, I'm assuming, wasn't an MGM production. It was a different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
One
know
of
who
big,
the
big
was
names.
all was not produced by the Broccoli's, and Wilson and stuff. So a whole different family or whoever was doing it. And
I've seen them both, but I saw them both many years ago, and I didn't know
Mhm.
that at the time when I saw them. And I probably saw them, I don't know, years apart themselves. But I think I would have to rewatch both of them,
Yeah.
one after the other to really pick them apart.
Fair.
They're both too long. Thunderball and Never Say Never Again are both too long. But man, some of the stunts and the crazy villains, and they got Kim Basinger for Never Say Never Again. She's
Mm.
the main Bond girl in there. So
But did they
yeah, and
change their names and everything, or
no,
is
it's
he
James
still
Bond.
Bond?
No? Yeah.
He's still saying
Oh.
James Bond.
Weird.
It's crazy. I did at one point watch how it went down, but I don't remember it anymore. Like how I
Mhm.
managed to get that. So yeah, that's kind of been my week. And upcoming soon is something I thought I'd add to the list because I thought maybe Shane would be interested or at least have an opinion on it. The Last of Us is coming to HBO, I think this Sunday.
Mhm.
Is that something you're tuning in for?
I talked to Emily about this. I mean, I'll watch it. I'll enjoy it. I'm sure it'll be fun. I said that I thought that the story is already so good that for them to make a show of it, you basically just have to redo the exact same story. So it'd be like it would basically be introducing this incredible story to an entire, group of people that don't play video games.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so I think that's cool because it's an awesome story. I think it's really well written. I think both things. I don't know. Who knows if it's successful? If they'll make maybe the second season. Who knows how much of the first game this season will cover? But maybe they'll continue and do adaptation of the second game too, which I think was also a really well written story. And I'm all for them trying to expand the audience of a franchise that I really like. So
you think that's like, do you think the strategy is, like you say, it's people that don't or aren't going to play video games, here's this thing that they might be interested in. Is the goal to get people to then play the game, or is the goal just to use an IP that we have to reach people that aren't going to see it otherwise?
number two, I think it's basically like we've had this sort of, in a sense, a test market, right, of the gaming world, where it's like, here's this successful IP, we made a bunch of money out of it in this realm. Why not try to make more money out of it selling the movie rights or the TV show rights to whoever to produce it, right? And I don't know how much of a role like Neil Druckmann is playing in the production of the TV show or what, but they got Pedro Pascal to play Joel, so that's got me hopeful that at least that aspect of the acting will be good. And I don't know, I'm not familiar with the actress that's playing Ellie or any of the other people except for the half second frame that they shot that they show of Rainn, is it Rainn Wilson that they have playing, I think, another character in there? I forget his name. Bill
Oh,
from
maybe. Oh,
No,
no.
it's
That's
Wait, Bill
Nick
from what?
Offerman. Nick
Parks and
Offerman.
Rec.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nick Offerman.
Nick
Yep.
Offerman, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually just saw a review of season 1 that just came out today, where they talked about how much they liked it and how it's basically obviously the game, because people said, wow, this game's so good, it's like a movie. So then they're like, all right, let's make a movie or a show about it. But they do get to go a little bit more into some of the side characters to get their perspective and stuff. And the actress who plays Ellie was actually the little girl from Bear Island on Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
that
Alan just
everybody
posted
like
it here, and I see it in the chat.
Leanna Mormont. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone loved her, and apparently she's like a really great actress. They said that she really kills it as Ellie, so
Mhm.
I'm excited to check it out. And even though I know the story, I just kind of want to see like how well they can adapt it. Like, is this going to be the first like actual good video game like adaptation, or we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's the question. So when you say video game adaptation, do you count anything that's based on a video game IP, or literally we're making an
The
adaptation?
game.
Because would you count the Resident Evil movies as adaptations? They're certainly based on video game IP, but they have little to nothing to do with the story of any of the games.
Yeah, I guess. Um,
Clearly, people keep watching them because they keep making them.
hmm
Somehow, I don't know
It's diminishing
how.
returns, though. You know, it's kind of one of those things. Like, it's always shocking to me that people will sit in boardrooms and not understand like the harm you end up doing to the IP that you probably paid good money for, to just run it into the ground. Like, we keep milking this thing till its teats are real dry,
Hmm.
and then we'll wait
Then sit
long
on it
enough
for a
for
decade and then
yep,
reboot it.
yep. It's like, I don't know, I guess
Or Netflix
that's
will
the
make an
strategy.
animated series out of it.
Or if you're DC and Warner Brothers, you just keep rebooting it over and over and over every other year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes less sense than, at least, we were talking about last week, I think, Spider-Man, and how at least with them they had an excuse because they had to make a film often enough per contract to keep the rights of Spider-Man.
Which
Sony,
you
in order
know,
to
leads to great quality of movie
yes.
production.
Yes.
You just have to, you got to pump them out to keep
It's
them.
shocking that Spider-Man has been as good as it has over the years, considering that's the case, honestly, I think.
I just read that Sony, when they bought the rights to the movie depiction of Spider-Man from Marvel Comics, they paid $7 million for that right. And they were given the opportunity to pay for the entire Marvel canon for like 25 million. And they said, nobody gives a shit about any of the other characters. They only care about Spider-Man. So they only paid for Spider-Man.
Ouch.
I mean, they made a good deal either way, frankly. It's and
I mean,
Marvel was
those.
desperate, the comics industry popped.
Mhm.
And so yeah, Marvel's desperate.
They were, yeah, that first trilogy was, Spider-Man trilogy was historic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andrea, you have not played the games Last of Us. Are
Mm-mm.
you tuning into this show?
Maybe.
Okay.
Hard maybe. I feel like I have so much on my plate that I really want to watch right now. If it blows up and it's like so well reviewed, then I might have to. Or otherwise, I think I would probably get around to it at some point.
Okay.
But I don't know that I
Yeah.
feel compelled to watch it like right now.
Well, Renato in chat is definitely excited. I can tell. Yeah, I'm just for me, like, probably work out monetarily, I would say. But for me, it's just not, as I've talked on the podcast, it's not the strategy I would take. I would much rather expand a universe than repeat it. Because people that are new and maybe aren't going to play the game, they don't care what the other story is of the game because they have no context for it. So it can be any story.
Mhm.
And so tell that story, but then you intrigue game fans by expanding upon what they played in the game as opposed to duplicating. So I'd be much more interested in a show that was telling me about a different place in this world, maybe more detail how things came to be, or a different character that is brought up in the game and we see how they make their way to where we know them in the game, something like that. And it's always this, expanding thing. It's the same as a show I'm going to talk about later, Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
Mm.
melding with the Cyberpunk game. It's not a repeat of the game story. It's in addition to, it's in the same world. And that creates a really good crossover for the things that people that are interested in both a show and a game, that they can engage in both and get more out of both. Versus, I know there'll be plenty of people that are like, well, I played the game. Why do I need to watch it? Or I watched it. Why do I need to play the game? So, but
Yeah, I was gonna
you took a
say,
breath,
I feel
Andrew.
like, yeah, I just feel like I was gonna say almost the same thing. Like you probably / me would be more interested if it was more like Cyberpunk Edge Runners or Arcane. Like,
Right. Mhm.
just something totally new, different, but like relatable still if you haven't
Mhm.
played, watched, seen anything from main source content.
Yeah, Arcane is a perfect example because there's nothing that they could do to make me play League of Legends. Nothing. They'd have to pay me money to play League of Legends. That's about it. But Arcane is a brilliant show, amazing. And so
Amazing.
whether that is, that can be an add-on filling in all kinds of stuff, and it means not like it's no, skin off my back because I love this thing. And for fans of League of Legends, it's the same deal. They can love it as well. So Arcane's a perfect example of how it's done as well. So all right. Let's talk a little bit of news. We were getting into superhero stuff a little bit earlier, and we will later as well. But I just want to bring up, because with the whole new merger and acquisition and different people in charge and everything over at Warner Brothers Discovery and the shakeup at DC Universe, we really didn't know for sure what was all going to be kept. We're still some things in flux. My understanding, again, was part of the deal of James Gunn taking over, as he had to leave the Joker sequel alone, the J.J. Abrams Black Superman alone, and and I said the Jokers and the Batman sequel. They had to not touch those three things. So that didn't include specifically the Penguin series. So it seemed a little not sure. Well, that does look like that's happening because it's beginning filming in February next month. So
This
yeah.
that I don't know anything about that. Is that the
Colin
Farrell?
Farrell Penguin. Yep.
Yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm glad this is the one of the two proposed series from this new Batman world we've been introduced to that survived, because it's a more unique story. Because the other one was definitely pitched as like going into the heart of Gotham PD, like how
Right.
is like the Gotham police going to relate to like crime around Gotham City, Batman, like the villains, blah blah blah. Do I think you could make it, find a way to make it like fun and fresh and interesting? Sure. But just like hearing the premise, I'm already tired. So you'd really have to work
Yeah.
a lot more to get me. So I'm glad that this one survived. Also because I was such a fan of Colin Farrell's work in the Batman, and just like continually blown away by the makeup team and the way that they were able to disguise that was Colin Farrell. So I hope they've got somebody equally excellent for this series.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys gonna tune into the Penguin? Dustin, I know you saw the Batman, right?
Oh, I'm a huge fan of the Batman. I actually watched
Oh yeah,
it
you mentioned earlier about that's right.
like 2 more times this year.
You mentioned some fighting words, maybe.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
definitely my favorite one.
I said maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I mean, obviously the other ones are still great. And I went back and watched them and they're still good. But this one just really intrigued me, not with just the grittier, more realistic kind of take on it or whatever. Just I felt like it really sung true to the kind of Batman that I had seen in comics of the detective and everything, and less on kind of like some of the theatrical things that totally work for a superhero movie, but obviously wouldn't really happen in real life. I don't know. The parachute suit whatever, and how like crappy it is and how it almost kills him. I just love that. Like,
Yeah.
that was so good. And then, yeah, I'll be excited to see anything that they expand on this, as long as they keep up that kind of quality and that kind of feeling, which might be hard to do, but I'm a huge fan of the director and writer, which is why I should know his name, but I forget.
Matt Reeves is the
For the
director.
Batman?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, okay.
Did all the Planet of the Apes, the new trilogy, which I thought was a masterpiece.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see where he goes with all this, and hopefully they can just tie these things together and keep it going and expand this universe, see what kind of characters they can bring in.
Sure. Shane, did you see it? / are you interested in the Penguin series?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be interested in it. I think it's I probably have the similar sentiment to Andrea with The Last of Us, which is that if I hear really good things about it, I probably would watch it. I'll be honest, I'm probably getting to the point where I'm just sort of burned out on all the superhero stuff, which I didn't think would happen, because I know that I went a little bit. I lasted a little bit longer than some people I know. So
Sure.
I'm just like,
Yeah. Everybody has a breaking point. Yeah. All right, couple movie trailers to talk about quickly. I'm gonna reverse them in order here, just to keep on the superhero thing for a moment. Ant-Man and Wasp. So there's been a couple Ant-Man movies already. There's a new one, Quantumania. They just released a trailer that's actually pretty lengthy. You guys managed to watch this pre-show yet?
Mhm.
Who's a big Ant-Man fan? Raise your hand.
Emily loves Ant-Man. It's her favorite superhero.
Okay.
Can
Favorite
I
superhero, like period, or like in these movies? Like her favorite Marvel movies are Ant-Man.
She was an Ant-Man fan before MCU, so
Okay.
she has old Ant-Man comics. She's a whole stack of old comic books, and her favorites are the Ant-Man ones. So
Okay. Nice. Cool.
I like half raise
So-
my hand if it's like a lot of just the fact that it's Paul Rudd.
Okay. You just enjoy watching him on screen.
Yeah,
I
I'd have
do.
to raise my hand for Paul Rudd.
what attracts
I mean-
you to Ant-Man is what attracts a lot of people from anything Paul Rudd's in.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've heard a lot of people, say that they don't really like the Ant-Man movies because it's Paul Rudd.
Oh, that's funny.
That's too bad.
He was the sexiest man alive, according to some magazine no one cares about a couple years ago.
Yep.
So
I don't even
Yeah.
know that if it's that I find him sexy or not. I just like him as a person. Do you know what I mean? Like he just to me like
he seems-
radiates good energy and just like he's a genuine human being who likes to have fun. So I like the way he presents himself.
Yeah, I thought he was always watchable, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the last Ant-Man movie though. I actually I heard it's not as good as the first, generally speaking, but
Mhm.
It seems like a fun cast in here, and obviously based on this trailer, you can see that they're dealing with Kang the Conqueror. This was introduced in a earlier Marvel series this last year or whatever in Loki. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So I have to be honest, like I watched this and I'm half like interested in because I'm also like suffering from superhero burnout. But I also watched this and saw that part of the reason like some of the buzz was happening around this trailer was because MODOK makes an appearance. And there was a lot of like bitter resentment from certain groups of fans because to explain, because
Yeah.
MODOK was supposed to like have a separate television series and also was potentially supposed to appear in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then some higher up execs were like, nope, we want to save him for the movies. And so now here he is. So,
Some higher up exec said they want to save
I mean,
MODOK for the
I mean,
movies.
I read just like several articles, so I can't tell you like
Sure.
a name or
Yeah.
like perfect
Right.
job title details, but the
Huh.
gist of it that I was getting.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
that just was interesting to me that they needed to like save for the movies.
But didn't he
Mhm.
have his own show, like a cartoon show?
Animated one, yeah, on Hulu.
Yeah,
I
but
believe.
it wasn't going to be animated. There was going to be like another show.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't the last Marvel movie I saw was Shang-Chi. So, like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I don't think this will be drawing me back in. But, the trailer looks fun for sure. And if you're in Ant-Man, then it seems like, it's a good cast. It's always a good cast. Having Michelle Pfeiffer in there is cool.
Mhm.
Anytime she's around, that's cool. So, and then one other trailer, Renfield. It's kind of came out of nowhere, and it's a Nicolas Cage film, but also starring
Nicholas Hoult.
what is his name? Yes, Nicholas Hoult, who's kind of a chameleon. He's in a lot of different things, and he really is. He really varies it up.
He's great.
So, yeah. You guys ready for more vampires? I think just earlier, Andrew, you
Yes.
said that. Okay, all right.
I mean, I know, but like this is different.
Renfield
You know what I mean? Like
Dracula's who's Renfield?
assistant, yeah. He lives in a mental institution, and like one of the main three suitors of Lucy Westenra, Dr. Jack, like goes and treats him and like talks, and he like talks about his master and like all the things that he's gonna do for him, and he's like putting pieces together as he figures out Dracula's coming to England. So good.
So here's what I'll say, which might be a hot take, but I was really excited about this until I saw the part where he starts doing superhuman action stuff, and then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna be he's a superhero movie again.
I was a little iffy on that. Like everything else was just like, he's in like therapy trying to like break this, toxic relationship.
Yeah.
It was all hilarious and fresh and new and funny. I'm jury's out. Like I'll definitely be watching it with a cautious eye during those moments, but I'll be watching it.
I guess it depends to me if they lean into that and then like it becomes an action movie where like all the stuff is all
Right.
kind of like set dressing or funny situations. But I feel like it's so ripe with all these different kind of things that they could do and ways that they can like elevate the drama and suspense without having to have to like burst into an
Resort to
all-out
that.
punch fest.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure there's some people who will love it for that and all that stuff, but I was like, ooh, this is really interesting. And then halfway through the trailer, he jumps up like 2 flights
Right.
of an apartment and punches a guy, and I was just like,
Right.
damn it.
It is fun, I think, from a perspective of like there's often a questioning, and this is so nerdy, but like there's often a questioning when you read the book of like what Renfield gets out of this relationship. So it's like fun to see like an actual thing that you can point to of like why would you even do this? Like what is the point?
Sure.
And like you get powers, like that's pretty decent. People might take that offer. But yeah, it could be overdone and campy very quickly. So use it sparingly because I think it could work. It's just got to work the right way.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna walk a very fine line for me. And I feel like the relationship that they have and having Nic Cage as Dracula will be fantastic. But the impression that I got from the trailers is what it turned into was like a buddy cop kind of movie, and then Nicolas Cage came for 2 days of filming to be Dracula or something like
Right.
that, and then
Yeah.
They're just gonna run
Yeah.
around, try to solve something, and fight a bunch of goons along the way. So I don't know.
Yeah, the last bit of the trailer, I agree, was like a little troublesome. I was like, oh no, this could take a hard turn, but
But who knows? They
Yeah.
might have. I might be mistaken with how that trailer was, but I'm just used to trailers showing you basically everything nowadays. So maybe we'll see. I guess I'll leave my judgment.
Well, Antman and Wasp is coming out soon, and Renfield is coming out. See if I can find it. It's supposed to be this year, but April 14th. April 14th. So
Mhm.
not all too long there either. All right, main topic at hand. 2022 year in review in terms of our movie, show, book, music, whatever favorite media things you've consumed. So it doesn't matter how you do this, really. I think Andrew and I did a little different, so we'll just go whichever way you figured. So we'll just kind of go through the categories and talk about whether you picked things that came out in 2022 and you consume them then, or if it's just something you happen to watch in that period of time. Kind of go the opposite order. We started with our weeks. So movies. Dustin, what would you say is your favorite movie or couple favorite from last year?
Well, I've mentioned it many times already. So the Batman for sure was way up there. I loved it the first time. It didn't feel like it was too long, even though I know it's a very long movie. And then I went and saw it again with my cousin and loved it even more the second time. Then I would
Did
have
anyone
to.
else have Batman on their list? Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
It's
my number
it's not
one.
my definitive pinnacle favorite. I mean, it can be yours, but yeah, it was up there.
Okay. Okay.
I have a hard time
no.
picking like one definitive thing ever, so
Sure. Right. Well, I didn't see a lot of movies this year.
same.
Didn't have a lot of interest in a number of them. Some of the movies I did watch didn't come out in 2022. And so the Batman definitely like I wasn't opposed to Rob Pattinson when he was announced as Batman. Maybe like you were, Dustin, but I was curious
It
how this was
was.
going to unfold. But as soon as that first trailer hit, I just remember saying, if this is the movie I get, this is everything I want, because it has the idea of a kind of a Seven David Lynch sort of noir thing that's gruesome mixed with Batman that I think melds very well with Batman. And I think they pulled it off exceptionally well. It is too long, I think, even though it really does keep me over that time. And yeah, I agree with you, Dustin. That they managed to come up with a new Batman theme that's not like the same classically composed awesome that Danny Elfman did, but also memorable and bold that they haven't done since Danny Elfman came up with a theme that's been so ubiquitous for Batman. So that I think was important. I think the bat suit for Pattinson is maybe the best bat suit. Melding that between, which is strange because in the early shots it's like, oh, it looks too like homemade or something. But the way they shot it and they cared about like what was revealed and what wasn't, it was the perfect blend of like functional with cutting the right silhouette still. So
And I love the made it in my basement look of it, of like, this is basically his infancy still of being Batman, and he put together his grappling hook that he doesn't use all that often, but when he does, he might shoot a guy in the leg in the middle of a club with it or something. And I don't know. I just love that it's not all perfectly automated. Like, he has to put it back in and all
Right.
that stuff.
Mhm.
It's just so beautiful.
And you think the
Yeah.
last best Batman score was Danny Elfman for the Michael Keaton Batmans? Is that the ones he did? Danny Elfman?
The theme song that Danny Elfman that did for the first Batman movie, which we had then in Batman Returns, and then really we had that stuff in the next two, and then we had it in the animated series. It's just like that's the Batman theme. Like if you didn't do the theme of the 60s and 70s show, no. If you don't do that, it's Danny Elfman's theme.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
And so, sure,
About
Hans
Christopher
Zimmer did a
Nolan and
good
Hans Zimmer's
boomy
blah
thing.
blah. What
Yeah,
about the blah?
blah, right. Like those were good scores, but hum me the theme, like what's Batman's theme in there?
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that they managed to do a really simple sounding, ominous kind of thing that I just think stands out, where we haven't had a standout in that category for a while. So I had my complaints about it, but I watched it again recently. I talked about it on the podcast because I heard some complaints of it. I wanted to see if I missed that the first time through. And I
Mhm.
just disagree with the major complaints people had. And all mine
Which
were,
were?
it was some sort of thing with someone said they could figure out all the riddles and what was going to
Mm.
happen before Batman did. So they're saying he's supposed to be a great detective, yet there's all this simple stuff. Plus, Alfred's doing most of the work. And so I watched for that. I'm like, no, Alfred
I
helps
don't
some.
think so.
That's
Yeah.
not the case. And then there was another part where they were saying that Batman withheld information from Gordon that could have saved lives to not potentially reveal himself as Bruce Wayne. And I watched for that too closely, and I just disagree. The only moment I can think of for that is when they're in the old orphanage and the projector's playing, and they figure out that Wayne, they figure out the next target is Bruce Wayne.
Mhm.
But Gordon is standing there with Batman, and he says they're coming after Bruce Wayne. He knows. Batman doesn't have to reveal it. He just disappears because he knows, hey, Alfred's going to be in trouble. So
Mhm.
that's the only moment I can think of there where that would be the case. So yeah,
That's
it
also
held up
not
the
like
second time I watched it. Um,
that's also not absent from other Batman movies. Like literally just thinking of Batman Forever where Val Kilmer's like Bruce Wayne is in the crowd and Two-Face is like, yeah, I'm giving you all the opportunities. Somebody knows where Batman is and he doesn't say anything. Could have saved some
hmm.
lives. Like,
Well,
I mean,
does
he
anyone? Because
shouts
he
it.
goes and
He
changes.
like
He
he like
changes.
shouts it in a crowded whatever, and
Oh,
nobody
that's
hears
right.
him.
Yeah, he does try. Yeah,
But
that's
like,
right.
does he really try? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, similar situations, like deaths could have been prevented. Robin rightly is like, should have been you, man. So it's not like that theme's never been brought up before.
Robin was
If
just
I can think
edgy.
of that like
He
off the
understood,
top of
maybe.
my head.
I remember
Yeah.
that scene. That was Val Kilmer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
He is
interesting.
arguably my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Not arguably, he is. Come on, Andrea, he is.
He is.
That's where I wanted to get into with Dustin
Arguably.
potentially. So yeah. So you're saying this is the best Batman? Is Rob Pattinson also the best Bruce Wayne? I do like to distinguish the two.
Mhm.
Well, at this point, yes. We'll see. I know. So maybe it's because I'm just so hot
No, I
on
love it. Be bold.
this version, but I've read a fair amount of Batman comics. I'm not like huge into all of them, but like the majority of the ones that have, been kind of deemed as like the best of them. And they always talk about the psychology of Batman and how at some point he shifted from, hey, I'm a do-gooder, I'm going out there just to fight people, to like this has become an obsession for him. And I love the idea that in the beginning of this, because he's so new to it, like he doesn't know how to be the persona of Bruce Wayne yet. He's just kind of like the obsessed weirdo who doesn't have to be around anybody because he's so rich, and he can spend all of his time just doing his Batman stuff. And he's barely ever Bruce Wayne in this movie.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was great that he hasn't realized how to like be the second part of the Batman identity of going out into the world and being the Bruce Wayne that no one would suspect. Um, but I don't know. I just thought it was well done that like he's still so not over the anger of losing his parents yet, that he's just basically like the brooding teen who's just like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of everybody that I see that's committing a crime. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this. I should
Yeah.
ask that.
You definitely can. I
Okay.
mean,
Poops.
you know,
Um,
maybe not
it's
like a string of 10 in a row, but yeah, I've definitely sworn.
um, but yeah, I thought that was awesome because I feel like if they can do more movies, like they can really give you the progression of Batman starting as like just this angry guy who gets dressed up and beats people up, to the end where he's like this mythic being that like the city knows and is like he's the mascot of Gotham because he's learned what he has to learn to be the legend of Batman. And I think he's done it in a way that you can clearly step in like a trilogy across the
Sure.
arc, and not just Batman's Batman and he has a new bad guy that shows up the next time. So
Sure.
I kind of love where they could go with that.
Sure. Shane, you have any thoughts on the Batman, or did it make your list, or even just Batman's versus Bruce Wayne's?
Yeah. Well, it definitely made my list of movies I saw. It's probably one of the last movies I saw in the theater before Eowyn was born. But I liked it. I thought it was a great movie. Yeah, I thought that my one complaint was that it was maybe a little bit long, and I, I remember seeing it in the theater and thinking like a couple of times that like, they should really have an intermission so I can go and use the bathroom or something. But other than that, I thought like, yeah, it kept me engaged. I thought it was enjoyable. I think it did. I agree with you, John. I think it might have suffered just a little bit from its length, having what felt like several endings, the narrative. But
Mhm.
I guess I liked it enough that I didn't mind. Like it was kind of like the
Sure.
last, like the Return of the King or something like that. Like it ended multiple times, and you just kind of didn't really want it to end because it was good enough that you just kind of wanted the world to keep building and keep going and see how that grew and all that stuff. So
Sure.
I would see a sequel if they made one that continued that, that Batman. I
Mhm.
would be interesting to see where they could take it. But
Mhm.
and I think Dustin's right that they set it up definitely to develop a different character, a different Batman, a different Bruce Wayne. So um,
Okay. Yeah, well, I could talk about Batman all night. Maybe we'll have a show for that sometime, but we should continue on, I suppose. Dustin, any other what other top movies you got?
Well, I certainly enjoyed Bullet Train. Um, I guess there were so many good ones that came out this year. I really enjoyed Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
the
I
it's
heard
the
that was good,
first
yeah.
time I've enjoyed a Pinocchio film. I know there's a lot of people who love the original Disney. That's fine. I didn't really like grow up with it, and so watching it in my teens and older wasn't like, whoa, this is amazing. Um,
Mhm.
it was kind of just like here's a bunch of weird things that happens to a wooden boy. But the stop motion animation and Guillermo del Toro's, creature design and style, and it's not like I'm a beautiful wooden boy. It's like
Sure.
it's a wooden puppet that Geppetto chiseled, half super drunk, and so he's like half finished and all weird looking, and it's just so awesome, and I made Marlo watch it, and so she got into it. So I got to like watch it multiple times, and it's just one of those beautifully handcrafted movies that I just love seeing all the little details and everything. Stop motion is for sure one of the things that I'm starting to enjoy more and more as time goes on.
Sure.
I always kind of did, but now that I'm getting older, I'm really appreciating it. And then I guess the only other thing that I would have to say out of all the stuff, I did enjoy The Glass Onion. I
Mm.
thought
Okay.
I thought that was a good. Knives Out and Glass Onion kind of took the whodunit and infused some different kind of pieces into it to keep it, I guess, to keep it interesting, so it's not just
Mhm.
depending on figuring out that one person.
Mhm.
Um,
There were a lot
and
of
then
similar-ish whodunits, I felt
Mhm.
like Glass Onion, Amsterdam, See How They Run. Like they all kind of came out very close to one another. So you really
Mhm.
needed something to like distinguish one from the other.
And the interesting thing was I saw something where they kind of explain how like you really have to nail the whodunit because it all hinges on like discovering one or multiple people or whoever done it. And if that isn't satisfying enough, or if it doesn't like, if it's solved, like it takes a whole movie to get there, but if the answer's just kind of like plopped out there and it's like, well, that's who did it, like you better have really enjoyed the ride there. Otherwise it kind of
Right.
feels like I kind of spent all that time and now that wasn't all that exciting of an ending. I felt that way about the Murder Mystery on the Nile one, whichever.
Oh yeah, Death on the Nile.
Death on
Yeah,
the Nile, yeah.
I felt that way. Even though it had some good scenes, it was kind of like once it came to an end, it was like, I guess I didn't really care that much. But Knives Out and also Glass Onion, I felt like took the whodunit and infused something, a different kind of storyline to twist it and keep you invested on a whole nother level. And then it didn't even almost matter who did it at the end because it was all tied together in such a way that I thought was very intriguing, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of people
Sure.
who don't like Rian Johnson, but I feel like he writes a good movie.
Yeah, I hate the man, but I did like Knives Out. So Shane, how about you? What was your favorite movie or couple movies this last year?
My favorite movie was probably, I think, the last movie I watched, which was The Banshees of Inisherin.
Okay.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Don't spoil it. I'm
I won't.
sorry. I really want to see it. I'm so pumped about it.
Have any of the Dustin or John? Have you seen it?
No, I was really excited to reunite cast from In Bruges, which I did enjoy, but
Mhm.
I heard
Cast
mixed things about
director.
this one. I don't know, but
These things. I'm curious what you heard, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of those movies that stuck with me, like left me kind of puzzled and kept me thinking about it for several days afterwards. And anytime that
okay,
happens, sometimes I come away thinking like, did I like that movie or not? And then it just makes me really have to sort of pick it apart and think about it. And story wise and the acting's obviously great. The direction's really
Mhm.
good. The cinematography is excellent. Um, and yeah, so like at the end of it, it was just like, what? That was basically what my final kind of thought was. And then I just sat with it for a while and, yeah, kind of came full circle. But I guess I've always been taken by Martin McDonough. Like I like his movies.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, I don't think I've seen one that I haven't liked. So,
what were some of the other ones?
he did, he did In Bruges.
Yeah, I
He
think that's
did,
the only one I've seen.
Seven Psychopaths. He did, what's that one that came out? His last one, or I think it was his last one. Three Billboards.
in Hibbing, Missouri.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one.
I wanted to see that one.
Yeah.
I can look it up real quick.
Okay.
Ebbing,
Yeah,
Missouri.
I only
I'll
gave
get
a
Ebbing,
link
Missouri,
here.
yeah.
Ebbing, Missouri. Yeah.
What else did he do? I feel like there's more that I'm not thinking of. But anyways, yeah. So I've just always liked.
Okay, yeah. So it is a
his
shorter
character has
list
the
of things.
dialogue. Yeah. And yeah, so it's probably my number one. I would, and if you haven't seen it, I would say see it, see if you like it, and I'd love to talk about it. And then my number two was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Nice.
I just
I
liked
think
it was original. Like it was original plot and screenplay, and acting again was really good, and I think it was an interesting story, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of feeling to it and emotion, and it's fun also. So
Yeah, these two that you've just mentioned are like on my next on my like award season movies to watch to-do list. I'm so excited about them.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, maybe we should make those a priority and talk about.
They're cleaning up
those
too,
this time.
awards wise, in the short season that's already been.
Right.
Did I know the Golden Globes just happened? Did those movies win anything from that award?
Yeah. I think Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh and oh my God, I'm not gonna remember his name, but Best Supporting Actor who played Short Round.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. I don't know his name, but he's Short Round.
I do know it. I just
it's not Watanabe, is it?
nope.
Alan says K. Hu Kwan.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. And Banshees, I think, won for screenplay and best drama.
Interesting.
Or no, best comedy, I think.
Best comedy.
Best drama was The Fabelmans.
It does straddle kind of the what's the category of movie? Like it's kind of
that's
it is
in
funny.
Bruges too.
It's funny, but it's also like dark, and I don't know. It's all the things. So it's just kind
of people are sort of like, that's interesting because it's
I can see how it would upset people watching it. Like coming away from it, you'd be like, "What?" I don't know.
Well, especially because the category is like a movie that's a comedy or musical, and so you just tend to think like extra lighthearted. So it's just like the people are like, "This is a little bit of a stretch," but whatever.
And it definitely doesn't leave you feeling good, like I think most comedies would.
Sure.
And then my number three. This was a hard one. I wasn't sure what I should put in slot 3, but I ended up having to go with Top Gun Maverick because just so good. Yeah. Just a great movie. Yeah. I went into it thinking, oh, another popcorn movie. It was huge. People loved it. I watched it on an airplane, and I was like, okay.
What? Oh my gosh. Top Gun on an airplane screen?
Well, I mean, that's
like so meta. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a perfect place to do it.
No, it's not.
You get turbulence.
Yes.
Like,
you didn't. You didn't ask what kind of airplane. It was an F-15 flying over a Russian airbase. Okay.
Yeah.
My gosh. That tiny little monitor they have that does like the altitude.
Did you like stand up? You're like, I can pilot this bad boy. Don't worry about it, you guys.
I just feel like that's not what's Tom Cruise intended. If I had to venture a guess,
I would honestly, I liked it so much. I haven't rewatched it again. I just don't have the time right now. But I would absolutely find the best quality screen I could find to watch it again. Like, I could see that being worth it. It was a good movie. I really liked it.
Nice.
That's my top 3. That's my top 3 movies of 2022.
Solid.
I don't think Andrea, I will say one more thing. And that is that I don't think Tom Cruise can make a bad movie at this point in his career. And I don't think I would argue that he's never made a bad movie.
Have you seen Legend?
I've never seen a bad one. I haven't seen Legends.
Did we talk about Legend at one point?
That was very
Yes, we did. We did.
Okay.
I don't
maybe
I don't
there's that.
remember why we did.
Although
We didn't
some
like
people do like
it wasn't
that.
like a show. Like we didn't devote a whole show to it, but
like
I
a
remember
No,
seeing
yeah, it
hour
just was
movie.
brought up.
Yeah.
Isn't it like 6 hours long? Or it's a very long movie, I feel like.
Is it? What? Oh,
Tom
I don't
Cruise
know.
legend.
I guess I never watched the whole thing. I just couldn't get
I'll
over.
give him that one though. I mean, that's pretty early in the
It
career.
was very early in his
Yeah.
career.
Okay.
Um,
Fine.
It was
Okay,
gotta-
Alan posted the Mummy. Okay,
He's gotta
Alan
have.
posted the
Oh,
Mummy.
Ooh.
okay, fair. I didn't
Boo.
see it. I didn't see it though. So
Boo.
I didn't see either. No, I didn't see either.
Yeah, I don't think
Is-
anyone did.
and is it really that bad?
I don't know.
It
I don't
sounds.
know.
I'm pretty sure it's bad.
It looks
think
cool.
they-
The
I
video
think
game
they,
based
like-
on it is good.
What?
Shouldn't have
There's a
tried
video
to
game, like a
reboot the
side-scrolling
Brendan
platformer
Fraser
thing that-
mummies. Those
Oh.
were already good enough.
Yes, yes. Everything Shane
They
just
were-
said.
Right, but Universal was intending to do a whole classic monsters universe,
right.
and this was what was kicking it off. Because then they were going to have Russell Crowe, Jekyll Hyde, and like they were just going to keep branching.
And
you know,
another
whatever.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or something like that. Bring them all
Ah,
together.
Yeah.
I just talked about that recently. God, that's such a
Mhm.
great bad movie.
That's a good bad.
Well,
movie.
Renato says he's pretty lenient, and the Mummy was pretty bad. So,
All right. Well, I stand
but
corrected.
I mean, I'm with you generally though, Shane. Like he has a track record that is quite
like,
impressive.
I was
he,
gonna
like,
say, the fact
decides
that we're all
now-
like kind of struggling to like consensus on
Yeah.
like The Mummy is a bad movie, you know what I mean? Speaks
Mhm.
highly of your filmography because it's not like he's only done a few things.
I will say there has been a number of times that I, went into movies of his being like, I'll give it a shot, and then I
Yep.
watched it and I was like, this was actually really great. What was
Mhm.
the one he was in? With the post-apocalyptic Earth.
Oh, it's based on the manga.
Oblivion.
Oblivion?
Or
Oblivion is
surprised.
amazing.
I also
I was
enjoyed the
surprised
one
how
where
good that movie was when I saw
with
it.
Emily Blunt,
Mhm.
where he
Yeah, that's
dies
Killer-
over
Edge
and
of,
over
Edge
that's the
again.
of
manga.
Tomorrow?
Edge of-
Great
yeah,
movie. Great movie.
Yeah, that's the
I
one
really
based on the
enjoyed that
manga.
one too.
Yep.
So Oblivion and Edge of Tomorrow are both manga based.
No, just Edge of Tomorrow.
Okay.
I did really like that one that was like a documentary about his life. Interview with the Vampire. That
Yeah,
one was
mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't
Superb.
age. It's, mhm,
so.
Uh-huh.
mhm.
I think they always
Yeah.
bring him a plate of rats before every movie he does.
It's what was that so what's interesting about Oblivion that you bring it up is that director, he finally got what he deserves because he did Tron Legacy, which I love. I think it was underrated. I think it's a really fun movie, and you got Daft Punk to do the score in there. Then you get Oblivion. Renata brings up the score. It is great. It's beautiful. That movie has like such a great look to it. Supporting cast is good as well. I love the movie. Totally underrated. I don't think it performed that well. And then he did Top Gun Maverick. And finally he has a hit, like a massive hit. So I'm just happy for the guy because
Did all three of
he's
those, huh?
had good movies consistently. He even did a short with Taylor Kitsch or something that was good. He just does good stuff and they don't perform. So finally, yeah, Top Gun. So
And like,
thought you
what a
were mad at him.
performance.
no, he got the acclaim he deserves. He got success. He can keep a job, hopefully. Yeah. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, now knowing that Daft Punk is retired, they're no longer going to be making music. I'm glad we got Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were retired.
Yeah, they're done.
I think their heads
Yeah.
exploded at the end of.
One of the guys' heads exploded.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was their farewell video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tron Legacy, the whole score front to back is really good.
Mhm.
Really great. And then they did a remixed album that was good as well. So yeah. Well, good picks, Shane. Good picks. Andrea. favorite?
Some of mine have already been picked, including the Batman and
Yes.
Top Gun Maverick. And then I have two others that I added in. One that I counted because I'd seen it this year, which was The Tragedy of Macbeth. with Frances
Oh,
McDormand
yeah.
and Denzel Washington. Just, I mean, how could I not love that? Being the Shakespeare geek that I am, someone who appreciates a fine acting role, and I just thought like Frances McDormand killed it. So I loved that movie. I loved our discussion of that movie, and yeah, that was a good way. I think we reviewed it all the way back in the beginning of the year, and that was like an excellent way to
Yeah.
kick off 2022, even though it wasn't a 2022 movie. And then I had to throw this on there. I just had to do it. I'm so sorry, everybody. It's not like the best movie I've ever seen, but it made me the happiest this year.
Okay.
Black Adam.
Okay. I think Renato said in chat he was really on the edge of his seat or something for that one. If I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
mistaken.
because
but,
because
yeah.
its fate is still like technically very like
Oh.
unknown.
No, it's
Because
technically
like
known. It's done.
no, it's not. No, it's done, but it's not because they definitely were like we're not moving forward at this time with the Black Adam 2, and like there's not plans to like pursue. But then like The Rock came away and was like, but we had some talks about like where Black Adam might fit in like a future evolution. So I don't know if I'm just being like hopeful and clinging to like those dying embers, but anyway, Black Adam made my list this year just because it made me so happy to see The Rock
Nice.
like get this project out. I know he's been passionate about it for so long. It was quality from DC. It was a lot of fun. I was terrified about it, and it ended up being more solid than I expected. Plus, like, I'm never gonna not like love the ending, the electric just like charge between Dwayne Johnson and Henry Cavill. Just like Black Adam and Superman just being like, maybe we're gonna do it.
Sounds hot.
Renato, Renato actually corrects me in the chat. He says he's Black Adam triggered him so bad. So Renato's a detractor rather of Black Adam. You guys are on opposite ends of the spectrum this evening.
That's all right.
So,
That's all right.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think that that is probably if I had to search, that's probably the only top list I'm going to find Black Adam on for the year.
Probably. But like I said, it filled me with joy.
Yeah,
like
that makes
I was so happy
that's
watching
huge.
it.
Yeah, right. That's great. Yeah, I really didn't see many movies that came out in 2022. So my number one is The Batman. Again, I could rave about that in a lot of ways, over and over. And then my second pick is The Northman. So
Solid.
I liked The Lighthouse and I liked The Witch. So this director has done content I am a fan of, and I think he understands cinema well and has fun shooting unique things. I thought this kind of retelling of an old tale was really fun. It was very metal. I was definitely into the Viking sort of thing, so that probably helped when I went into this. But performances were good. Had a great cast. It straddled that line between real and gritty, but then bringing in fanciful elements that you get from a tale like this. And yeah, I had a great time in the theater with it. So, and it had like a twist that I didn't expect and stuff like that. So, yeah, and it really didn't have a third. I don't know what my third would be. So I was trying to think of literal movies that came out this year, and you guys said some good ones, and I just hadn't made it to those. Like Top Gun, a number of times I intended to watch that. Same with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I intended to watch that one while it was, I think, on a streaming service for a while that I had. So just didn't make it around to some of those. So all right. So probably won't go through every category here. It'll get pretty long, but we'll talk about like television shows and any other things that you so we kind of got the big category movies out of the way. What TV and maybe a book or music that you really like this year, we can kind of go through those and discuss any that really stand out. Andrea, we'll stick with you and go the reverse then. Favorite television or any other media that really stood out to you this year that just consumed a
Yeah.
lot of time or what meant a lot to you?
Yeah. Okay. I will try to be brief as I can while, raving about my favorites.
Yeah.
TV shows, I had a number of new old favorites because some shows kind of came back this year. Starting off with one of my absolute number ones this year, Stranger Things season 4. So good. Just like recaptured, I thought, some of the magic and ensemble magic that season 1 had compelling villains, compelling storylines, like really picked it up and set it up nicely to end the Stranger Things franchise run, which we all know is going to be happening. So, yeah, I thought this was just like the really great ramp up to the end and really appreciated it this year. And I just thought like I can't say enough about it. Also, obviously, as a huge Metallica fan, like Eddie's Master of Puppets was just like beautiful to behold on the screen, and I was just like, it's speaking to me. But overall, like objectively, also loved like all the other things that made this season what it was. Also early on in the year, season 2 of Raised by Wolves was a favorite. Bittersweet, because obviously we all know that got the axe from HBO, which we're all
I was
I
not
shouldn't say
aware of
all.
that. That's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know that
sorry.
Oh,
either.
you just
Spoiler.
revealed now? Oh my gosh.
Spoiler! Oh my
My
god,
heart-
My
I'm
life is
sorry.
over.
It's all right,
There's a
shut it
Save
down.
Raised by Wolves
Lights down,
campaign.
everybody. I killed it.
Yeah.
Going to bed.
You can
But
you
yeah,
can
no,
join their
John and I
Discord.
talked about it earlier this year. Unfortunately, it did get the axe from HBO, which I just feel is insanely unfortunate. So I couldn't mention this year TV shows without mentioning that show and how unfair I think that was. Some other good ones, House of the Dragon shocked me. I was prepared to be disappointed. I was prepared for mediocrity, and I think the acting and the solid like time they took to world build really shocked me in this, and I really ended up enjoying it a hell of a lot more than I ever thought I would.
I
So,
agree.
I was just ready to be like, oh God, here we go. I mean, I kind of have to like fear hate watch it, and I ended up love watching it. So
My only complaint about the show was that how poorly they did the aging of the actors. And not that the aging that they did was terrible, but that they chose to age some of the actors and not others.
yeah, yep,
That just
yep.
it kind of pulled me out of it a little bit.
Inconsistent for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I also like have an issue with the fact that like even though I know Viserys was supposed to be older than Daemon, he just like and like age rapidly because he had a disease. It was just like he's like 95 years old and Daemon still looks 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was just
Like,
like a
yeah.
little bit much going on there.
Yeah. Well, the entirety of the series only covers like 10 years, so he aged like 50 years in the span of a decade.
Yeah.
They do attribute it to the illness. Whatever it was.
Right, but I think there's like a way that you can differentiate like illness from like he looks like he's 85 and
Mhm.
they just like missed the mark a little bit. But I didn't care because I loved Patty Considine's performance
great,
so
yeah.
much. Ugh,
Mhm.
crushed it.
Mhm.
Some like more upbeat shows that I watched this year, one released this year, one not, Physical. Loved that. Like so good. Rose Byrne is just like insane. And I say upbeat just because like that show's tone is all over the place. It's like dark. It's like darkly comedic. And I just thought it hit like all the right notes. I loved her performance in that show. And then Ghosts was one of my favorites. So hilarious. I'm scared, Dustin, though. CBS
Don't
Ghosts,
worry.
BBC Ghosts.
BBC all the way.
Okay, I'm CBS.
What? Okay.
Yep. Because I haven't seen BBC.
Okay, sorry.
She
It's
just
okay.
hasn't seen it. She just hasn't
I haven't
seen
seen
it.
BBC
so-
Ghosts. So
Okay.
the first introduction I had was CBS, and I love Rose McIver and oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher his name again. Budkar. I love their like chemistry, so I had a ball watching that show.
I will. I can give it a chance. I haven't seen all of it. I was just told that BBC was the original, and so I watched that one, and then saw some clips of the other one, and was like,
Sure.
I don't need to go see that. So
Well, and I didn't know that BBC had ghosts. So you know what I mean? So like I found
Sure.
CBS's Ghost and then learned BBC had it. So it's
yeah,
like, well, I gotta go watch that now. But I thought it was well done. It was a lot of fun. And it was just kind of a random show that I fell into and just enjoyed way more than I expected.
came out of nowhere, and it was
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
I
0% on my radar. And then suddenly I was watching it like I can't get enough of this.
I think I only heard of it because somebody was talking about how they may not have liked that version that had come out.
Yeah.
And so then I went back and watched the BBC because they said that that's the version that everyone should see. So I'll give it a chance, and I'll
It's
I'll see if
okay. I mean, I liked it.
I'm might be
but I
talking
don't-
out my butt. I don't know. There's sometimes you hear like people who say like they're the purist of,
Yep.
people don't like the English or the American Office.
American
but they
Office,
like
yeah.
the original. And so I just assumed that everybody held the BBC in high regard, and the other one was not made
Sure.
well. But you're
Sure.
proving that I listened to one person's opinion and took that as gospel. So
Well, in my
Nice.
opinion,
That's good.
CBS's version definitely got better as the season went on, but it was just a lot of fun that I didn't expect. So that was one of my like surprises for 2022. And then I obviously caveated that like Wednesday could be thrown in there once I finish that series because that was absolutely fantastic. Two other things I wanted to quick mention. I didn't read any comic books this year, but as we said in our last podcast, I read a ton of webtoons. My number one from this past year, 2022, is No Longer a Heroine. And it's one that like started slow and I thought was going to be like this like comeback story of like a pre-teen idol, coming off of a drug scandal and like getting back into the entertainment industry. And then towards the end just took like a hard left turn into something I could not freaking put down. And it was just like the plot got so much more interesting, so much more meaningful. Crushed it. So good.
Cool.
Close second is Maybe Meant to Be, which we've also talked about extensively on the podcast.
Yes.
And then a book I wanted to mention is The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. And it's the conclusion of the Practical Magic series, which is also one of my all-time favorite movies. But this book was just like a masterclass in like how to come back to something that was this popular and like close it out without feeling like you can't write anything else or anything new. Like you're just dragging this out for all of its worth. Like, no, she actually provides a very satisfying, different, yet familiar ending to a really great story. And yeah, I'd go back to this world anytime. And I'm happy she took me there.
Nice. It's good variety. Good
Mhm.
variety. Shane, what else? What do you got for the rest of your best of list for last year?
Oh yeah, TV
Other
shows.
than
My
media was amazing.
top TV show of the year was the final season of Better Call Saul.
Nice.
I think
Yeah.
it was. I think it was the best TV production I watched last year. Close second would be probably Ozark, and that finished up too about the same time. I remember Emily and I were
Nice.
watching that together. We both really enjoyed those shows. And then other shows I watched, like Andrea said, House of the Dragon we really enjoyed. The Rings of Power I thought was good. If they make more, I don't know. Are they making more? Who knows?
They have
and
to. They're
they have to.
contractually obligated to make at least four or five seasons.
Are they
Yeah,
really?
Something
it's quite a
insane.
number,
Dang.
yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
something insane.
Which is
Well,
which is crazy due to its like a very mixed reception.
mixed reception and an extremely high budget. Like
Yeah.
Incredibly high
crazy.
budget.
was like 100 million for, I can't
Like
remember
per
what it was.
episode.
They made
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
those props. They gotta use it for 5 seasons, otherwise.
Yeah,
That's
true.
right.
Yeah, you get a little bit more return, more seasons you make, I suppose. We watched The Sandman. I really like that. A great adaptation of a great comic that I enjoyed many years ago, and then reread this year with the release of the show. So
Nice.
the only comic that I read this year. So that will be on the top of my list, even though it technically didn't come out this year. It was a re-release though, so like it was re-released this year or last year, 2022. And then the last show we just watched was The White Lotus, and that was a HBO production, and
I
another
really
kind of
wanted to see that.
it's good. We kind of the same thing like the Banshees of Inisherin. Like it definitely. I wasn't sure if I liked it or not after watching like the first season, but it stuck with me, and I kept thinking about it and kind of turning the themes over in my head, and it grew on me as I thought about it more and more. So I ended up really liking it a lot. And then for books, right now I'm reading the book Shogun, which was written in the 60s or something like that. James Clavell's Shogun. It's like 1,400 page book. It's massive. About 3/4 of the way through it. It's really great. It's a historical fiction of Japan in 1600, when an English sailor basically is shipwrecked on Japan, and the English have no presence in Asia at that time, and they're at war with the Portuguese and the Spanish, who are basically the Europeans who are present in Asia, and they're at war with each other. And I don't know, it's very interesting. And this English sailor learns the the customs of Japan, and is basically stuck in Japan. Like he can't leave. He's a prisoner in a way, but he ends up, like kind of taking on the role of being a Japanese person, or at least living in Japan. And I think it's regarded as like a very accurate portrayal of what life would have actually been like in Japan in 1600. And they made a miniseries, a TV miniseries of it in the 70s, which I haven't seen, but I will watch after I finish the book, because they're producing a new television series, which is supposed to be released sometime in 2023. So that's taking everything I see at the end of the list here, John. We have things to look forward to in 2023. I'm looking forward to the release of that show in 2023. So
yeah, you're gonna be consumed in this world for a while.
I know it's
a lot.
And because the book is enormous, it's taking me a long time to get through it. Like, I read a chapter or so here and there, and like doesn't feel like I'm really making a dent on it. But it's a great story. So, but
yeah,
so that's what I've
that's
got to look forward to.
Be engrossed in like, shogunate type Japan stories. That sounds great to me. Cool. That's a good list. Dustin, how about you?
All right. Well, I guess there's a lot of things I watched this year that I thought were pretty good. But I guess the standouts to me would have to be Peacemaker, which was DC. I really enjoyed the last Suicide Squad film, and Peacemaker was the interesting part of that, and they nailed it with the series. I just thought that it was so funny, and they really made you like care about John Cena as just a jerk who has daddy issues and like just wants to be loved, but he's an ass. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, John and I had like differing opinions about that, but I really thought the series like picked up. I thought it had a bit of a flat start, because like it was a little, like, to me, a little bit one note, and then it just like ramped and went, and I was so glad I stuck with it.
Yeah. So John, you liked it or you didn't like it?
You
I
did
hated
not
it,
like it.
but I
Oh,
You
but
hated it.
but I only saw, I don't remember what we covered for the podcast. I only saw the first
At
3
least
episodes.
2, 3, yeah.
Yeah.
It was not to the point where I thought they really got to like the redemptive like character growth because
Yeah.
there was a lot of like starting out in just like a very like angry like one note presentation kind of space, and
yeah.
the series had room to grow and it got there, but it was a little troubling at the beginning. I was a little worried.
I liked how much of a.
Peacemaker. Okay.
Oh no, go
I was
ahead.
going to say how much of like an ensemble show
Yeah.
it really became. Like
Mhm.
all of the
Yeah.
characters, it was the Peacemaker, but like all of the characters were complex and interesting and had their own
Mhm.
arcs. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Peacemaker is exactly the reason that like it continues to show why I think a person should be concerned with James Gunn taking over the DC universe in movie format, because he can make very entertaining content, though I wasn't entertained by Peacemaker. But if we look at some of the previous stuff, but he has no care for any sort of like continuity or um, like cohesion with source material. Could not
Mhm.
care less, very clearly in everything he does in this space. So whether it's Guardians, whether it's Suicide Squad, or it's the more specifically the character with Peacemaker, like he wants to take these ideas, these characters, and do his own thing. You
Mhm.
know, it's like on record that for Peacemaker, he told Cena, "Don't read any of the comics. Like,
Mhm.
don't don't look at this. The character we're basing you on, I don't want you to know that because I'm telling you what you are. You don't, have no other context." And we have that we see that all the time. Like we have that with The Last of Us now. They literally told the actors for Ellie, "Have you played the video game?" She said no, and they said keep it that way. And she admitted she snuck watching some people play it. But so we have this over and over, and so that's just a concerning thing. Like again, with Peacemaker, like if anyone's a fan of the character Peacemaker, this is a complete bastardization of that character. And
were there actually
but
Peacemaker fans before this?
I don't know. He existed. Like I
There's
had
gotta be.
a card of him. I had a trading card.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't know. But see, that's what he's kind of gotten away with in the past. Guardians of the Galaxy, very little known. Suicide
Yep.
Squad, no one knows. So people give him the ability to take and rewrite these things, and there's not very many people that are going to be in uproar because they're unheard of largely. But now he's taking over Superman and Green Lantern and Wonder Woman and much more prominent figures. And so his lip service to like care for the canon and these IP don't mean anything based on his track record until we see it come to fruition. So
I think the same could be said about Zack Snyder, though. I mean, he did kind of rewrite like things about Superman and his
But
homeworld and things.
is that things about Superman or is that Superman? Do you know what I mean?
I guess
Like
So
people
here's
have
the
a
theory.
tolerance, I think, for like some changes, but I don't think people have a tolerance for like complete 180s. And this is still coming from somebody who like really enjoyed opposite of John, enjoyed Peacemaker
Mhm.
and Suicide Squad. I know you enjoyed Suicide Squad, John, but I'm just saying I enjoyed both of them and didn't mind that. But I can see where like people would have mild issues with like changing some aspects of a character and have like major rage about, you know, just being unrecognizable.
Sure. And I'm coming from the perspective of never meeting these characters before and just
Right.
deciding to watch it just because, all right, there's something to watch and let's see what DC. I mean, I guess just in terms of DC quality, um,
Can it really go down?
it's been a lot of waiting for it to be a little bit more of what I was hoping, and I felt like this
Mhm.
was kind of an uptick in quality, and so maybe it's not what people are envisioning or hoping for the people who know the characters, but I don't know. I guess yeah, I came
I
in
think I think that the DC universe could just be much better served by not trying to be Marvel universe. Like, don't try to make it a universe at this point. Their
Yep.
best productions have been what were, I think, intended to be one-offs, and then spin-offs from those one-offs. You know,
Yeah.
or I guess Suicide
Joker.
Squad technically tied in somehow in some ways to the first
Yeah.
one, but felt
I
original.
mean,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I have all different feelings about this, but like I agree with the larger sentiment of like DC could be better served not trying to be Marvel.
Mhm.
Because I'm not interested in Marvel 2.0. And there are things about DC that I've enjoyed, and I just don't need like a three-peat, universe tying like this character to this character, like this, whatever. Just like make some fun movies.
Mhm.
Like one of my favorite movies is Shazam. I loved it. Like I thought it was awesome. It was good fun, but it wasn't concerned with like tying into anybody else.
The
So
Shaquille O'Neal Shazam.
obviously that's what I meant.
It was Shazam, right? That was the Shaq movie. Am I wrong on that?
Or is it
It's
Kazam?
just
Kazam.
Kazam, yeah.
Kazam.
Oh god.
Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great bad movie.
Yeah. You know, I think we're finally, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe, James Gunn will really pull something out of the hat. But I think that we're finally on the you expressed being kind of over the superhero stuff, Shane, and I think we're on the other side of the hill. Like we're on the downslope now. Like we're finally, where going up the hill, people start jumping off the ride at varying points. I think we've like come over the peak now where more and more people are just, they're going to look for something else.
Mhm.
And I think some people predicted this would happen 5 years ago, longer, because I remember people talking about superhero fatigue a while ago. But it's kind of one of those things. If the quality keeps coming, you're kind of still on board. It's like, oh well, it's the thing. It's out. I'll see it. It's fine.
Mhm.
Stay on the ride. But I think finally, I was elated to hear that Dana, our friend Dana, who we had on the podcast last week, had been disappointed by a number of the last Marvel entries that she'd seen. So that to me, it means it's like the audience keeps expanding of people that are just kind of checking out. And so
Mhm.
Why do you? So what kind of Marvel fan is Dana?
I just see her, and Dana can correct me if I'm wrong, but I see her as what most people are,
Yeah, I was gonna say
bring the family
representative
to
of
the
the
Marvel
broader audience.
thing. Yeah, right. She's not like, I've been into the comics for years, or I absolutely must see every movie and like day one or something. It's just like, I'm going to watch all the films that come out. They're fun. I have a good time with them and I look forward to it, but it's like, it kind of ends there. Like it ends when you leave the theater or you're done watching the movie. Not moving into like the fandom area, the people that are going to see it multiple times and like have discussions about it like we do or whatever, and again, Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I envision her viewing habits are with that.
I think I mentioned that I feel the same way, like the fatigue with all the suit, especially the Marvel stuff. But I think it started with when they started just pumping out all the TV shows. It really started just being like there's a what do they call it? Like sort of a
Diminishing returns.
diminishing return of like there's just so much that like how do you A, watch it all, and B, take the time to actually enjoy it or digest it or whatever. And honestly, like it almost felt from one series to another, just we're just going to change the actor and the character, but the plot's essentially going to be the same. I will say that the one Marvel series that came out in the last year that I watched that I actually enjoyed was She-Hulk, because it felt like it was actually a little bit different than everything else that had been coming out. Plot wasn't just like the beat 'em up at the end of the show with the big bad guy, and a little bit different. was a little more refreshing. They had some interesting takes on the show, different themes than had been used in other series or movies. But
Yeah, I mean, for me, no surprise to anybody who's ever watched this show before. WandaVision, the OG like Marvel show, has my heart. It just like was everything I wanted out of like extra content from Marvel. And then yeah, just like really started sliding down where I was like, I've seen this. This feels formulaic. This is not as exciting as I thought it would be. Not that there weren't good moments of shows, but like, yeah, it's tough.
yeah, it does feel a little bit like what they're doing is planting too many seeds, like
Mhm.
this is maybe going to pay off later or be something later, but it's like, what about now? Like, what about this production? Like, let's make that good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like the first phase, everything built up to the big finale of Infinity War and Endgame. And like I was checked out like a couple movies before those came along, and then those pulled me back in. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what it was all coming for.
Mhm.
And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, they're kind of switching some things up, but it's not entirely, different. And then I got a little bit excited with WandaVision because it was a new format and they could play with something. I'm like, okay, now they're gonna be a little bit more risky. But then I agree
Mhm.
that like it kind of went back into that same thing, and now I just feel like because I went and saw Wakanda Forever for like a work event,
Mhm.
um, and just everything feels like they don't know what they're going for, so they're just thinking like, all right, let's think of every single comic run that was popular and let's just do them all at once and not like try and tie or like have a progression. It's just throw it at the wall and see which one sticks, and
Right.
then maybe we'll keep going with whichever one people latch onto
Right.
the most. I don't know.
Yeah, like the progression is still there, but it feels less meaningful. It feels less like impactful. It feels less intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's still sort of like we have phases and we're building to things, but like there's no clear like direction.
Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely burnt out on all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Well, I want to go into some time talking a little bit about streaming in general, but I've already hijacked your list, Dustin.
Oh
What
yeah.
else you got?
Oh, yeah, I won't get into too much more. I didn't realize Peacemaker was going to be such a heavy topic. I guess the other quick one that I really enjoyed, which was at the very beginning of the year for me, was Our Flag Means Death, with Taika
Nice.
Waititi
Nice.
and that guy that I always forget his name, but he's from Flight of the Conchords. He's amazing and hilarious. I really had no idea what that show was going to be. And it kind of, when it first started out, I thought it'd be something different. And then over time, I'm just like, I'm on board. This is just too funny. And I like where they went with it. And hopefully, they can keep expanding that funny
I
little
think that
pirate
one's done too.
universe. Oh, damn it. They
Crushing
left
dreams
it
tonight.
on they left it on
Yeah.
such a like
They
tragic
meant to have more.
endpoint.
Just didn't get greenlit.
Yeah, okay. Well then I guess I'm gonna change the ending in my head so that it ended in a happy way. Um, but then the last thing that I keep talking to everybody about, and everyone's like, I haven't seen it, and I feel like needs so much love so that people like keep this thing going, is 100% Andor. People need to watch Andor and see the
Okay.
brilliance of
Where are
it.
you going with this?
It's so good. Like they've got greenlit and they're already doing season 2, which I'm very glad. But I hope that it's not one of those things that they're just gonna cut it off after that, just because no one's gonna pay attention to it until 5 years after it's done
Andrea,
its
are you
run.
certain?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dustin. Andrea
What?
looked it up. She says there's going to be a season 2 of Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah,
Oh,
they literally just confirmed yesterday.
Wow.
So I mean, like literally yesterday.
That's
This
great.
article is from that they wrapped season 2 of filming, but like
Okay,
nobody knew.
Okay, I'm gonna
Huh.
change the ending in my head yet
Okay.
again. Back to the original ending.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So
No,
so
it was,
Andor. Yeah, people talked about.
yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
No, I was just gonna say
That-
it was super secret, like literally released yesterday. No way you would have known that. So yeah,
Crazy.
was just
Nice.
curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard the consensus about Andor is like the best Star Wars show no one's watched.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You
so
know.
good. I mean, I know everybody's loves Filoni and all that stuff, but I feel like everything that he comes out with feels like what I've seen before. And this feels like it didn't even have to be Star Wars, but the fact that it is gives it so much more flavor and interesting like backdrop. Like this is the first time I've ever felt like the Empire really feels like a menacing oppression, and just the way they build it up. I know, it might be hard sell on the first episode. I think they dropped the first 2 or 3 to get people going because it is kind of a slower burn, but once he gets into it, then it's like, then they've got a heist, and then they've got these things, and they take their time with each episode. Like nothing is rushed, but it never feels like it's not building towards something. It always feels like, ooh, can't wait for next week. Like I can't remember the last time I was dying for the next episode and excited for like Wednesday to roll around. And it's so well written, and I'm sure there's probably people out there who are like, well, whatever, it sucks. But I feel like this is going to be very controversial, maybe, but it is the best written Star Wars thing ever. Like,
Wow.
hands down. I mean,
Ever.
you might love the movies, and that's great, but I think we can all agree that maybe they're not the best, like, written in terms of like dialogue and the things that they
Scripts, yeah.
do. Obviously the original trilogy, or first 2, are fantastic. But then I think after that, it's just like Andor just nails it. Like I've never cared about Mon Mothma before, but she's a pivotal part, and it's terrifying thinking about like the role that she has to play to not get caught while trying to like do all these things. And it's just so good, and it just kills me every time somebody says that they haven't seen, especially if there's a Star Wars fan out there and they haven't seen it. John, I can't believe you.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen it. And it's too bad because this show looks like it's made for me. Like this is the Star Wars show I've wanted for a long time. You know, between all the books and comics I've read, I have always been a Star Wars fan that enjoyed the minutia and the other people in the Star Wars world, seeing the other worlds, seeing the sea underbelly, seeing the rebels and like the non-Jedi folk. I always loved that stuff. That's what I was looking for from Star Wars for a long time, you know. And it would have been really interesting if this was one of the first shows that came out. Like if this came out right after season 1 of Mandalorian, that would have done wonders for me and like my relationship with Star Wars. But I've like decided I'm out, you know, like too much damage has been done to the main storyline
Oh no, John.
and to the main characters. So I'm just out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've given the only exception if I want to keep playing the Fallen Order games, because that speaks so well to what is Star Wars in my mind. And it's really developed completely outside of Disney, and it's really has some people that clearly know what they're doing making it. So yeah,
So
it's a
you're
shame
not
that I will
even
never
gonna
get to
try it?
see Andor, because I know I'll like it. I know I will like that show.
John, you're killing me. You're killing me so bad.
I am not
Taking a
subscribed to Disney
stand.
Plus. I will not be subscribing to Disney Plus. I will not buy their movie. I'm not like
If some
frequenting this shop anymore.
strange person were to pirate them and leave them on your doorstep, would you watch them then?
I don't know. You know, I've just like I've divorced myself from it. You know, I'm like I've submitted that
changed.
most of the things that
They've-
I love
They
franchises.
won't hurt you
have just
again. They
all
won't hurt you
been-
again. Just come back.
Exactly.
last
See, that's what they
time.
want. That's what they want me. Come back. Come back. And I'm like, if I need a Star Wars fix, I have many a Star Wars book from back in the day that I will go to my shelf and read that I have not yet read. I've got Star Wars I don't have all the Star Wars Rogue Squadron comics. I can go into a comic book shop or half price books and buy. I'm like, I can still get a Star Wars fix if I want. So
maybe
that's too bad. I kind of think it's ironic, or it's like satisfying in a way, if one of their maybe their best show, as in you say, best written Star Wars thing ever, is like continues, like it shows the state that Star Wars is in from the fan perspective and from a cultural perspective. Like that their best show, like that people clearly cared about when they made it. People that seem like they know what they're doing made this show, and people aren't watching that. That's a bold statement on where we are at in this fandom. And I'm all for it just like collapsing to the ground at this point. So let's let it happen. And it'll be
That's
funny.
at the point of
that
like
this great
getting a
show
sick
is how we end.
satisfaction out of it.
Yeah, right. It's like, take this. You fed us garbage for years. You destroyed classic characters. You gave us absolute dog shit. And then you give us a good show, and it's too late because you guys suck ass and you destroyed this thing. So
But then,
good.
like, what's the
Reap what
incentive
you sow.
ever for them to make a good one again?
No, it's
You know
not.
what I mean?
There isn't. Right. Yeah,
but that's what I
there isn't
mean.
one.
Like, why not support the good to like show them like we will support when you make good? Because then there's just incentive for them to just keep making garbage if they're like, well, you don't care either way.
Yeah, I want them to lose money on their investment here. I want them to lose they paid George however many billions of dollars. I want them to lose money on this situation. They were, as we talked on the previous podcast, their plan was to have an Avatar movie and rotate it with a Star Wars movie. Avatar, Star Wars, Avatar, Star Wars every year. We don't have a Star Wars movie in sight. They have no idea what to do. They are lost. And I hope that whatever they do, I hope their toy sales keep falling. I hope that no one attends Galaxy's Edge. Their ticket sales are down. I hope it just burns to the ground. Everybody forgets about Star Wars. That's my dream.
Really went to the dark side.
We should start a blog. One man's war against Disney.
No, it wouldn't be one man war, and I don't wield so much power. So this is my personal vendetta.
Well,
so
then it definitely is too late. Like if it came out after Mando season 1, then maybe that's why people aren't watching it, because they've all given up.
They had I was so lenient with the sequel trilogy. I was so lenient. I like tried to like it, guys. I wanted to like it, but they went too far off the deep end. And then they came out with Book of Boba Fett, which is a joke. That is a joke of a show.
Really
that's embarrassing. So
I can't believe you sat through that. And
I didn't sit. I quit. I quit in the middle of it.
Oh, okay.
I saw the Power Rangers on their scooter bikes, and I'm like, I'm out. That is it. This is ridiculous. So, yeah. Anyways, I appreciate that, Dustin, that trying to get me back in, and I'm glad you like it. And a lot I've heard is that if you were looking for this kind of show, it is what you wanted, and it will go down in history as a personal tragedy for me that I didn't see the show that I know I would like the most. So,
well, the only one stopping you is you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
I can understand you not getting Disney Plus, but there's someday I'm gonna somehow force you to watch that damn show, even if it's 20 years from now.
Like, inebriated somehow,
get him when his kids are just being born. He'll be at his weakest.
Yeah,
and is most tired. He won't be able to escape you.
Yes.
Just
And I'll just send you DVDs, and they'll be labeled different things, so you think you'll be popping in something like Avatar 2 or something
Dustin, you're
you
breaking up
actually
a lot
care
for me.
about.
Is everybody else? Can you
Oh,
hear him, everybody else,
No,
or is that me?
I can hear him.
I can hear him
Oh,
fine.
okay. Sorry.
Oh.
It's here, hold on. That's my fault then. Let me change headphones quick.
Dustin, you gotta send him something labeled like Secret Season 3 of Raised by Wolves. Like,
yeah, there we go.
never, you know what I mean?
Fan fiction. The fan
Right?
fiction
He'll be
season 3 of
he'll be so delirious. He'll be like, "Oh my god, I totally buy it. Like, this is legit."
Anything that I can label it to, and I'll keep sending them too until you take the bait.
Right.
And you won't realize you're watching it until you've all of a sudden realized. and
Until
love
it's
it.
too late.
Yep. Then you're in.
Nope.
I'll even send Rian Johnson personally to your house.
Wow. You don't want to send Rian Johnson here. I don't know. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'd have a great conversation. I don't know. Could be. I don't know him
So you
personally.
don't
Yeah,
like
you don't know him as a
you don't
person.
like any of his
Yeah.
work, or you just don't like you don't like him because of what he did to one of your favorite franchises?
like I said, I liked Knives Out. So that's the other movie that my context, and I think Dustin, didn't you say you did Looper too, right?
He did Looper, Brick,
Mhm.
the Brothers Bloom.
Which I didn't see Looper, but I always wanted to, and I heard good things. So
I love Looper. I know it's got the whole, everyone gets mad with time travel and it's like it doesn't make sense. And well, I'm sorry, but most
here's
time travel things still make sense.
Fun movie. It was.
Mhm.
I'm usually very critical about the time travel thing, but despite the fact that its time travel story doesn't really actually make sense, still is a fun movie.
Great.
And really, when you think about like if time travel actually existed, what would it be like? And basically, you have like two explanations for how it could work, which is that there's like branching. Right? Like if you travel through time, you create multiple universes. So then you have to like address the fact that there's all these different timelines that you're creating, or there's only one timeline and it's just a constant cycle, and there's no way that you can actually influence time. Like you could be your own grandpa, but you're always going to be your own grandpa. Like you've always been your own grandpa, and that's just the way it is. And there's only a couple of shows that I know that did time travel right, and I've
Futurama,
dived into this pretty well.
where he is his own
I
grandpa.
know they did. Yeah, they kind of the whole series comes full circle, doesn't it? But and the first one is the movie called it's with Ethan Hawke. I can't remember the name of it. Predestination. Predestination. If you haven't seen it, you should see it.
Never heard
It's
of
like
it.
one of my I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite movies, but it's one of my favorite time travel movies because they actually do time travel right, like in the context of like time is what it is. You can't change it. You can't influence it. The other one that I was thinking of is a TV series. Now I'm totally blanking on what it was. I'll think of it. But anyways, you can only do it. You can only do it a certain way if you want buy-in from time travel
Shane.
Nazis. And I'm a time travel Nazi.
Okay. All right.
I probably shouldn't have said Nazi and me in the same sentence, but this will be recorded.
The
for all
audio
time.
skipped right there, that middle word. Yeah, I love time travel shows. I haven't seen Looper. Rian Johnson, it just wasn't right for Star Wars. I think that there's this thing going around, like it's ultimately a bigger thing where they were very flippant about one of the biggest IPs in the world, one of the biggest properties ever to exist in media. Disney was incredibly flippant with. They had no plan, switching directors around. It was a mess, and Rian Johnson just played his part. The clip goes around of him saying, "When I'm making a movie, I think that success is leaving with half the audience loving it and half the audience not liking it." I think Sunny's has a successful movie because it's like, I don't know, divisive, I guess. That's not who you get to write your film that is, family film, kids, multi-generational, kind of whatever. It's just not what you do. You don't go to bend expectations and play with people that way. You're not doing an art film. It's not a thing you wrote. individually, for your own project, you're a steward now of, again, one of the most prominent IP, or was one of the biggest IP in the world. And he failed at that task miserably. And it shows that he didn't really care. He didn't understand the weight of his task.
John, I
So-
agree with you, but I'd go further back. I'd say that it was ruined when they did a second movie, Empire
Okay.
Strikes Back. Should have never made any more than the first one.
Wow.
First
Well,
one was the
We'll see.
first and the best, and ever since then it's just been downhill. It's been a downhill slide.
I would say that most people disagree with you on that one. I think Empire is generally considered the best
Phantom Menace
movie.
is obviously the best.
I think honestly, I think it's been the same.
Yes,
since
Rise
the
of
beginning.
Skywalker is obviously the best.
Like
Mhm,
they keep adding more stuff. They keep trying to sell more merchandise, right? Like with every Star Wars that has come out since the first one, since they realized what they were sitting on, it's been what new creatures or what new worlds can we explore so that we can, produce it at minimal cost out of plastic and sell it to children. Like there's been little cute characters that serve no purpose in the story of Star Wars ever since the beginning. But the first one they made without the expectation that it was going to be this giant hit.
But I'll say that, like, with Star Wars, it was planned to be more than the one. There was multiple ideas.
That's what George
and-
Lucas said, right?
Well, I mean, this writing of it, like I have he had an overview, and he only was allowed to make, like, they only give him a certain amount. Like he had in plan more of them, and those things are, the outlines are written. And so I think that, like, it's at least something that it wasn't like, oh, well, this is a hit, so let's invent more, because there was always the intent to have more. Just, are you gonna get it? That's what it always does, is they come up with their epic, and like no one wants to fund their epic that you want to have be a TV series that goes 6 seasons long, or a movie series that goes for 7 or 8, like Harry Potter.
I think I buy that George Lucas had a concept kind of thought out. I don't think I buy that he had anything really deeply fleshed out the way I think he's made it seem like he did when the prequel trilogy was being written or created or greenlit, or that Empire Strikes Back or the Return of the Jedi were created. Like, I think to write the first movie, you had to have some sort of world built, right? You had to have some sort of background to these characters and where they came from, and I don't know. I just don't know if I buy that he had it as worked out as he initially says he did.
Depends on worked out. Well, okay. We have to do another Star Wars episode sometime.
Not unless you watch Andor. I'm not.
You're not going to come on? Okay.
You can't talk about
Yes.
Star Wars if you've thrown it into the sea.
I love it.
You know what? I'm just gonna say
Stick
it.
to those guns.
I'm more of a Trek guy than I am I'm more of a Star Trek guy than I am a Star Wars guy.
Been revealed. No, it's fine. Look, I think the big thing is that Star Wars without movies survived in a healthy manner for many years, with new content coming out from different authors and all sorts of things, and managed to weave together a whole expanded universe quite successfully. And then we get new movies under the rule of Disney, and that is not in such a healthy place anymore. So, like, yeah, maybe a bunch of it was unnecessary, like all matter of opinion, of course. Just, I think that we managed to have something healthy and exciting for a while, and now we're in a state of decline, monetarily for them. They can see it in the dollars. So,
But the beauty of declines is eventually there will be
Like a phoenix will rise from the ashes.
Rise from the ashes.
well, we're gonna be wrapping up soon, but I thank John Anomalous for jumping in the chat for the first time. He's tuning in or chiming in to say, surely it's been well documented. Lucasfilms would know. So yeah, I think the burden
It's
of
been
proof
well
is on you.
documented that on me.
Shane. Yeah.
I have no evidence.
I feel like there's a lot of the documentaries covering the original plans.
No evidence to support my statement or opinions, and I refuse to find any. And I'm gonna believe what I want to believe, and that's the way it is.
Okay.
I got no time to prove anything to anyone.
All
I
right.
am who I am. You either accept me the way it is.
Be prepared for an onslaught of documentation from me.
What's this guy's name that just joined?
John Anomalous.
John Anomalous?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you, John Anomalous.
Wow.
Whoa.
To our chat that way.
I'm kidding. I don't even know.
Wow.
I don't even know. You're one new viewer. He's out.
Yeah, and he's out. Yeah.
Thanks, Shane.
I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're running long, so I'm not gonna like go depth into some of my stuff. I just want to say my favorite video game of the year was Horizon Forbidden West. Like I say, I wrapped credits on that.
What?
And had a lot of fun with that.
Nobody saw that coming.
I know. It's a total shocker. And then my runner-up TV shows were Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Chainsaw Man. That was second and third place, with House of the Dragon as the first. And I do have to say I forgot that Raised by Wolves season 2 was this last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because that really did provide me with some great entertainment. So yeah. All right. That's been a lot of things, kind of went all over the place. Renato's making friends in the chat. Thank you, Thick King, for making up for our rude guest, Shane, here. Talking
I'm sorry, John Anomalous. I'm sorry. Don't take it out on them. I'm just a guest. I don't even get paid.
You and me both, yeah.
Oh, great. Now we're being thrown under the bus. We're not even paying him for this.
Yeah. All right.
Your friendship is payment enough.
Oh, how nice.
My payment is Andor.
He can be sweet.
Yeah, Andor viewings. Yeah, people jumping on the Andor bandwagon. Yeah. That's been Popcast on the Rocks, episode 132. Please like, share, subscribe, all those things here on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you consume your media. We also are on podcast directories, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a bunch of other ones. We have the video version that goes up on Spotify as well. So any sort of reviews on there would be much appreciated. Killing the Flower wrote our theme song, so you can check them out on Instagram and YouTube and streaming services like Apple Music and Spotify. Much appreciated. And then, of course, much appreciation to our guests, Shane and Dustin. Thank you very much for jumping on. It was a fun episode. Thank you to Alan for dealing with all the tech problems at the beginning to get our setup done right. And thank you to chat, Renato, for jumping in, and new guest John Anomalous. So we're a weekly podcast, and if you subscribe everywhere, you'll see when we go live. Does anyone have anything to promote or say or whatever? Final thoughts. Sometimes someone has a thing to promote.
Sometime soon I'll have something to promote, but not now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Look forward to it.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.